Glad to be back. It's been a while since I've done a video. My last one was uploaded about a month ago. Just been really busy. It's summertime and I've got a lot to do. But I got back out in here today and trying to think of, something to do. And then I caught this right here, caught my eye. This mallet here is one that I made when I first started wood turning, and to me at that time it was just revolutionary. I had seen some videos on off-center multi-axis turning and stuff, and learned how to do an oval shape on a handle. So this handle's oval shaped here, and I've really enjoyed having this thing for the last many years. But it was laminated up. There was three pieces of maple laminated together and turned into a hammerhead. And this here is actually two pieces of mahogany, I believe it is, that are laminated together and turned into a handle. Well, anyway, as you can see, this thing's got all busted and beat up and everything. I use it for everything in the shop. I use it for, tapping on the chisels and everything else, right down to driving in my spur centers. You don't want to hit this with steel, but it's perfectly fine to hit it with wood. And I've beat the head up really bad. So today, I wanted to do a new one. I just want to make a new mallet to replace that one, and hopefully make it a little bit better. Couple things I learned with this mallet is the little concave sections here are really kind of a bad idea, because it allows the wood to chip off the edges a lot easier. I mean, it can chip anyway, but that just allows it a chance to chip a lot easier. So I'm going to do this one at least straight, if not maybe a barrel shape, and I may even do two different size heads. It just depends on what I decide to do. It's just a mallet. But anyway, I'm glad to be back. I'm ready to get going, so let's get started on this. Okay, well, getting started, I've got a 3x3 by 5 inch block cut out for the head, and I got an 1.5 by 1.5 by 9.5 block cut out for the handle. And I've just cut all these out on my table saw. This is all elm wood, some wood I've had up on the hill for a couple of years now. And I'll just get the centers on both pieces, and I'll get the center of one face on the head, on the head blank. Okay. And once I get all these done, I'm gonna take two of the jaws out of my jaw set in my one-way stronghold chuck, just like that. And I'm gonna place the headpiece in there and center my tailstock up on the center. And then we're just gonna get ready to drill it out. And I'm gonna drill this out with a 1-inch Forstner bit, about an inch deep, or a little over that, about 1 1/8 inches. So glue will have a place to go. Alright, and then we just drill it out. I like doing this with a chuck because it makes the hole perfectly straight and centered, straight up through. Make sure a 1-inch dowel will fit in there. Okay. Now then, I'll hammer the dowel in and cut it off even. And I put my old Barracuda 2 chuck back in because I like the little spur that it's got here. You can see it's spring loaded. I like that spur because it doesn't grip real deep. Alright, well, we'll just get started on the head here. Start roughing it out and getting her shaped up. Shaping goes pretty easy. I finally decided to go with one small side and one kind of thick side. So one is about 2 1/4 diameter. The other side is about 3-inch diameter. Let's see how it is right here. That's just, you can shape it ever how you want to. I would advise against concaving any of it, just simply because it makes it easier to knock pieces out of it. And I'll just scrape it down with my skew. Chamfer off the ends with a very, just softening up the edges with a chamfer. I'm going to mark this, and I'm going to mark out for the center on both ends. There. And we're just going to. Oh, okay. I haven't chamfered it yet. I'm just squaring off the ends. Now I'll come back and chamfer. Try to face this off a little bit. There we go. I'll just scrape out a chamfer right there. Do the same thing on the other end. Chamfer it also. Alright. I'm putting the dowel in there supports all those fibers around that thing, around the mortise, and gives it support and makes it a nice clean cut. So all I have to do is drill that thing out. I'm just making a couple of decorative marks and burning in with a wire for the head. Just kind of making it my own, having fun with it. So we'll sand now. We'll sand up to 400 grit. I'll do all this on the lathe. And then I'll wax it. I'll put about 2 coats of my finishing paste wax on here. Oh, after I do my sanding sealer. And this is Deft, D-E-F-T sanding sealer. I like putting a coat of that on there. It really makes sanding with your really fine grits a lot easier. And it gives you a really nice smooth surface for your wax. I'm not looking for a really good shine or anything like that. Okay, here we are at 400 grit. I sanded up to 400 grit before I put the Deft on, and now I'm resanding at 400 just to smooth everything up before the wax. And I'll put about 2 coats of wax on it. Let's see. And this is actually the second coat. But I'll put it on with the lathe turning, and then I'll wait a few minutes, come back and buff it off. And come back and just buff it out. Like I say, I'm not really looking for a really good shine or anything like that. It's just, a little protected finish, because it's going to be here in the shop from now on. And then I'll just sand off the nubs at the ends where the centers were, and it'll make those faces nice and flat. And I'll come back and wax the ends a little bit later before I glue everything up. And that's just about got the head finished. It's a nice little hefty head for this hammer. Alright, now we're getting started on the handle. I'll mark the center, and then I'll come about 1/8 of an inch to either side and mark that also. About 1/8 of an inch on either side. And the end at the headstock end, is going to remain centered, and the end closest to the tailstock, I'll be using all 3 of those points. So let's rough it out first. I'm dead on center right now, so we'll just get her roughed out and get ready to move on. Just about got it good. Alright, now I need to take the dowel out. It's not very deep, it's only about 1/4 inch thick, so I'll drill through it and just kind of beat it out, making sure not to damage up the edges of my mortise. So I'll drill it out, and then I'll punch it out with my chisel. There we go, just like that. Alright, so now we're good to go. With the head's complete. Now we're going to work on getting this handle done. I need to know the exact diameter of my mortise, so I can make my tenon the right size. So I just use my vernier calipers for that. True up the face here, and start. I'll mark this off here about 1 inch. My mortise is 1 1/8 inches, so I mark back 1 inch. That gives me about 1/8 of an inch for any glue or something, to get into. But I'll just start cutting my tenon using my vernier calipers, being very careful. Let the vernier calipers just barely fit on there, and that'll give you a nice fit into that mortise. And I'll just work my way all the way to the end. Just barely let the vernier calipers slip. There we go. That should work just fine. And give it a test run. See how it does. Very nice. It's not loose at all. Alright, so now we're back on the center. I'm just gonna kind of touch up the ends a little bit. It'll help me see where I need to cut when I start my multi-axis turning. So we're gonna start on one side now. I'll just pick one of the centers and go to it, and just start shaping my handle. And this is totally up to you, how you want to shape it. And that's all I'm doing is I'm just looking for a nice even arc from the head all the way down to the tailstock. Just a nice even arc. So sweeping down. And get this one turned. And you have to watch the ghost image and really pay close attention so that you get everything straight. Pay very close attention to the ghost image. And then I'll sand. For that side, I'll go ahead and sand. I'm only sanding here to about 150 grit. I'll do the rest of the sanding off the lathe it takes a lot less time. Okay, now I'll swap over to my other axis on the other side of my center, and we'll start turning it the same way. And be careful, you may have to stop a couple of times and double check. If you go too far on this side, that means you'll have to go back to your other axis and even it back up. So just, you know, pay close attention to what you're doing, and you know, take nice easy cuts. And it'll turn out really nice for you, I believe. I really enjoy doing this. It's pretty neat how you can put something on the lathe and get an oval shape out of it instead of something circular. But you can see here on the end how it's beginning to take the oval shape. But I'm a little bit, I need to go a little bit deeper on this side compared to the other, so I'm just working on that, being very careful not to go too far and get them out of sync again, or get them out of sync. And then I'll, you know, scrape it with my skew just a little before I sand it. And there we are. We now have basically an oval shape. And we'll start sanding this side. And we're sanding it at 150. So just to get, you know, any tool marks or anything like that out, so the rest of my sanding will be really easy off the lathe. I have a couple of nicks right there where I had some chips, and all that was on the outside of the wood. They were kind of deep. I thought I would get those turned out, but actually I didn't. But it is just a shop mallet after all, and it kind of actually adds some character to it. Now we'll just, you know, kind of make a little decorative end for it. And all I'm going to do is just cut a bead here. Just use my little spindle gouge, 3/8 spindle gouge. And we'll sand it up a little bit too. Alright, now I'm ready to take this thing off the lathe. I'll trim up the bottom and sand it real good, the bottom of the handle, and then I'll finish up my sanding here. And get all the sanding done, and I'll use my deft on my handle also. I'll do the exact same as what I did on the other. I'll use the deft. You can see the little places now. Alright, we'll put deft on there, then I'll come back and sand at 400 grit one last time and put a couple coats of wax on this thing. Now also, I taped up my tenon. You can see how I'm being very careful there. I don't want any finish on that tenon at all, so I taped it up before I started my wax. Glue will not stick to wax. The wood glue won't. So then I'll, you know, put a couple coats of wax on it and buff it out, and then we'll be good to go with this project. Let's buff it out. You have to wait a few minutes between putting it on and buffing it. It really leaves a nice finish. we'll tear the tape off. Don't need it anymore. We'll just glue it right into the head. I'll use a tight bond tube to do that with. And then I'm just going to wax the faces. I'm just going to wax the faces. Where I had the sand a little while ago, that's why I didn't wax them on the lathe. I'm just putting a little bit of wax on there. I'll buff it off, and this thing will be done. There we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It's kind of a simple project, but it's a very useful tool in the shop. You always have a use for a good mallet. It's started out a 3-inch diameter head by 5 inches long, and it's still virtually that. It may be a little bit shorter or something, but it's really close to those dimensions. 3-inch diameter by 5-inch head, and that gives me a nice, heavy, solid blow on there. So, and then, you know, the multi-axis handle, which, you know, it allows really good comfort in the hand. Plus, you know, every time if you ever spin your hammer, or just pick it up and start hammering on something, if your handle's perfectly round, then, you know, it could be turned sideways when you go to hit something with it. But anyway, the oval handle really makes it very comfortable, easy on the hand, and it always helps you keep it aligned. No matter how you grip it, you always have that oval handle that will keep that thing straight for you. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this project. You know, if you need a mallet, you don't have to go buy one. You know, all you need is a good hardwood for the top, for the head, and, you know, a nice wood for the handle. And both of these are actually elm. It's actually elm, and I got some of that stuff a couple of years ago, and it's been stacked up and just you know, kind of curing up and all, and it's nice and dry now. And so you'll probably see, you know, a few videos from me with elm. So but anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see y'all on down the road. Go make something.